Yo, what's good? Welcome back to another episode of Levitation, the Sunday series where we coming back with a good one. We coming back with a great one. We coming back with a banger. You feel what I'm saying? Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you like I told you before. Go down there, press that subscribe button. I'm telling you, it's going to be helpful. And if you want to be even more helpful, go down there and press that like button. And then if you want to be even more helpful because the algorithm be tripping, I need you to leave a comment. And then last but not least, I pray and I ask that you share it with those if you find it to be helpful. It's going to go a long way. With all that out the way, let's hop into it. I hope it bless you. What happens when we're tempted? I think we all know the process. What typically happens is that you recognize that you're being tempted by something. You have a long struggle going back and forth. Some of us is a quick struggle. But then you finally make the decision to give into whatever that temptation is. But in that process, the struggling part, the fight that we do, I think that might be the reason why some of us fall to it. What you mean? You're supposed to fight the temptation. Yeah, you're supposed to fight the temptation, but it's in a different context, in a different sense than what we're used to thinking about fighting something. From our worldly perspective, when we think about fighting something, we think about using our strength to either attack or be in defense of an attack on us, right? And we think that, hey, we're supposed to be doing the same thing when it comes down to being tempted. I want to stand my ground and not fall to this temptation. That is a very good intentional thing to want to do. However, the method in doing it is the reason why some of us fall so much. Fighting temptations isn't a practical method on how to defeat it. As a matter of fact, the scripture does tells us how to defeat temptation. Let's break it down. In 1 Corinthians chapter 10, starting at verse 13, it says, temptation in your life are no different from what others experience. And God is faithful. He will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. When you are tempted, he will show you a way out so that you can endure. That last part in the King James Version says, he'll give you a way of escape. So the beginning of it lets us know that temptation itself isn't something that no man doesn't go through. You're not the only one that faces it. And because you're not the only one that faces it, and God is faithful, temptation itself is no match for you when God is in the mix. He says he will not allow for temptation to overcome you. God being in the mix is the key. But let's be real, what do? We try to fight it off on our own strength. And when we fight it off on our own strength, we're not powerful enough to overcome temptation. Eventually, we're going to fall. Now, even with God in the mix, it doesn't say to wrestle with temptation. The next verse says that he will give you a way of escape. I don't know about you, but when you escaping something, you're running. Like you're trying to get away. You're not running towards it trying to take it on. You're trying to get out of Dodge. And in this verse, God is saying, I'm faithful enough to show you a way on how to get out of Dodge. And I think that's where we make our mistake. It's not meant for you to wrestle with it. When you escape something, you're running away. Now, one of the major things that we're tempted to do, all of us, at some point in our lives, we're all tempted to engage in sexual immorality. That's one of the top biggest temptations. But scripture also tells us how to deal with that. It says in 1 Corinthians, the same book, chapter 6, on that verse 18, it says, flee from sexual immorality. In the NLT version, it says, run from sexual sin. You're supposed to run when we tempted. But here's the but. It's not enough just to run. Because if you run without a destination, you just run it. But the purpose is to have a destination to where you're running to. See, there's a difference between avoidance and strategically escaping to something. It reminds me of the game It. Or tag. We all know the rules to tag. Somebody gets chosen to be it. The other people hide. That person count. Once he count, he got to go and try and find the people that's hiding. Once he find the people that's hiding, he chase them. Once he tag them, that person becomes it. In that game of tag, there is a caveat where you have base or you have home. It's a designated place to where if you get to that place, whoever is it that's chasing you can't touch you in that place. So when you out hiding and somebody spots you, when you spotted the person that was coming, your immediate thought was to where is home. You didn't just run to run. You ran to find home. But sometimes you might have made a mistake and gotten too far away from home. That when the person that was it found you, it wasn't an easy run to get to base. And so you had to run. And it didn't matter where you ran, you just ran to escape. But running to escape without a destination is what's going to get you caught. Because When you're running, you might have the endurance to continue to run, but eventually you're gonna get tired. And all that person has to do is wait. Oh, you running from me now, but you gotta come back. I think that's where we make our mistakes when we try to avoid temptation, is that either we try to overcome temptation in our own power, or we're running without a destination. We're trying to avoid temptation with being busy with work. And we might get distracted for a little bit, but I guarantee you that temptation is coming right back in a matter of no time, because we're not running to a specific destination. We're not running to base. We just running to anything that we think is going to keep us safe, but those things aren't designed to keep us safe. But our safe place is in God. Our safe place is in our relationship with our Father. Our safe place is in the gifts and the callings that He birthed in us. Some of us are aware of the things that He wants us to do. Some of us are aware of the ministries that He wants us to start. Some of us are aware of the business that He wants us to start. Some of us have been called to be wives, to be husbands, to be fathers, to be mothers, to be sons, to be friends. All of those things that we are called to are in God. And that is the destination that we must run to. So when we get tempted, don't just run to distract yourself from the temptation, but run strategically to the area that you know He called you to. I get tempted. If I'm married, I know I'm called to serve my wife. So let me focus on my wife. If He birthed a business in me, when I get tempted to do something, I don't fight it. Let me go figure out what things that I need to do with my business to continue to push it forward. When you're tempted with something, you run to the ministry that you know you're supposed to start. Let me figure out how I can get this men's group. Let me figure out how I can get this women's ministry together. Let me figure out these worship songs that I'm supposed to do for my praise team. But then it gets more deeper beyond that. When you get tempted, take that as the cue to let me go read my word to get an understanding of God. Let me have a relationship and fellowship and conversation with my Father. When you run from temptation, your safe space is supposed to be of the things of God. So knowing that, we have to figure out what are the things that I have to run to when I get tempted. And we have to be disciplined enough to strategically schedule out our days and schedule out our time surrounding the things of God. Because let me tell you, I don't know about you, but I get the most tempted when I'm bored, when I don't have any structure of my day. But if I keep in mind on all the things that God has called me to, all the responsibility that He has gifted me with, if I keep that at the forefront of my mind and I schedule my day around that, when I get tempted, I know I have something to go to. Again, we're not just scheduling our day full of nonsense, but we're being strategic in structuring our day, scheduling our day around purpose, around the things that God has called us to. And when we are purpose driven and we have a focus on where it is that we're supposed to be, when temptation comes, because it will come, you're going to face a form of temptation for the rest of your life. So it's not a matter of if it comes. When it comes, we have to be prepared enough and aware enough to know where base is to run to it for safety. But if we run to the things of God, that is the way of escape. This is Levitation, where we're reaching our highest potential. I hope you have an amazing week. Stay blessed.